This is your boy Carl G from the Code 99 podcast, bringing you episode 26. Last week we had a conversation amongst men with Ikeem and Anthony. It went on so long that we couldn't fit it all into one episode. So here you guys go. Conversation amongst men part 2. Hope you enjoy.
This is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. But I feel like if people could go be with who they felt connected to, with no judgment, with no preconceived notions, with no labels, we would see a lot of intermingling of same-sex relationships, opposite-sex relationships.
Agreed.
I feel like a lot of people would do that. But because society, especially Black society, because if you're gay, then you're not a real man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, I have a question.
What's up?
So, when was the first time y'all encountered a gay man, and what was your reactions?
Okay. So can I answer that? I'll answer that because
Go first, yeah.
So the thing is, my mom, right? She worked in she worked in the music industry, but like when she was in college, when I was a kid, she did dance, and her instructor, but who had a lot of influence on her. Like I was always around her college, like when she worked and everything. And the instructor was gay, and he was cool peoples, and he was a jokester. He was a playful dude. He had a little femininity to him, but like it was like, it was just George. It was just him. You know what I mean? Like that was like probably my first encounter that I can remember. Then after that, I do, because this is very like, this is in my mind, because I had a cousin. This is I was a kid too. My cousins. There was like two of them. They were brothers, and they had to like live with us for a little bit. And one of them always in and out the house, and I found out that he was gay, and he had passed away from HIV. But this is back in the 90s. But those are my two like early memories of like seeing someone who's gay.
Okay. You want to go next, Marlon?
Before I forgot what I was on thinking. My first interaction was probably high school. Yeah, because I was, like I said earlier, I was in middle school, all boys middle school, but like we were like, brought up like tough for brotherhood, all that stuff. But so my first interaction was probably high school, and my earliest that I could remember. And to be honest, I was kind of sheltered, so I wasn't aware of the world. I had to like really like pick up the speed by the time I had to hit high school. But it was one of those things where like I didn't know. I was ignorant to the thing. So I was just so focused on so many other different things. And there was always that sentiment when we were growing up that we want to grow up faster. We want to do older things. Trying to speed up. I'm over here just trying to stay as kid as long as possible, to be honest. So I wasn't aware of the things of anyone being gay or being bi or anything like that. When I found out a friend and one of my not even friends, one of my classmates was gay, it was like it was one of those things where it was like I didn't bat an eye to it. It's you, like this is who you are as a person. So like what you are, like it doesn't have it doesn't reflect who you are. Like it's just that's who you are. I never batted an eye, I never treated anyone any differently or anything like that. It was just okay, cool. Like, what we're gonna have for lunch? Oh, did you do last week's homework or anything? So it was never nothing. Like I said, I treated them exactly the same way I would want to be treated, to be honest. So it was just one of those things where like you hear it so often, or you hear about it a lot, and when you finally like encounter it, it was like whoa, like it was a little bit of a culture shock, but like I said, I think looking back on it, I think I've handled it pretty well in the sense of like there's not, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So it's who you are at the end of the day. And I'm glad I hope if I talk to them today or these people today or whatever, that I never treated them any differently as I would anybody else.
That was deep. For myself, I honestly can't remember. That question caught me off guard, to be honest. But someone like Anthony, like that's someone I'm not ashamed to say, or was never ashamed to say, he's my friend, and just because he's a gay man. So what I can speak on is how my thought process and my mentality towards gay men and the LGBTQ community has changed over the years. I always do. It's all like, I'm sorry.
Just play Stack 2, bro. I'm dead.
You should have it in front of you before you say it.
I should,
LGBTQ.
right?
And it's
I
like
always
it's
confuse.
longer down,
Right.
right? It's like added some more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
just
think
say
that's why. I
LGBTQ
think that's why I
plus.
confuse it. I think that's
Just
why I
say
confuse it
plus
because it's
at
so
the end.
long.
Yeah, just say
I'm gonna just
plus
say
at the end.
LG. I'm gonna say LG. Okay. But don't say it at all. Don't say it at all. All right. All right. Sorry, but
Just
I
say
think I
the
went from
community.
the community.
The
That was classic,
community.
too.
Like my mindset changed. So I guess like most of us from the Bronx and these areas we grew up from, it's just like, whoa, that's not acceptable. Even if whatever age I had this in mind, I'm not dating or experimenting. It's just like, well, when your time comes, you have to date a girl because men date women, women date men. I think it went from that to um still not being comfortable being around people of that community, but never was I like someone who bashed that community or saw them as humans that were less than heterosexuals. Now I'm at the point where it's just like, you love who you love. Like, I don't give a fuck if that person makes you happy, no matter what their preference is, if you're the same sex or not. That's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, that's all it boils down to: love. Who's there for
I
you? Who
wanted to
supports
speak on
you?
something really quick, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
And
Yeah, sure.
this was in reference to when y'all were mentioning about the person who recently came out and um how certain people were still showing like even more love. I think especially in our community, what it comes down to, and I think this is what worked in my favor when I was in high school. Um, for a lot of people, I was the first gay person that they encountered in such close quarters. Someone that you see every day.
Agreed.
And
Yeah, that I agree too. That's not my first
I
time.
think for me, compared to the other two that were known in our school, I wasn't what everyone thought gay people were. Because I think
I would say
because
that.
how they say like culture influences a lot of what we believe. And I think at that
Agreed.
time, whenever there was a gay character on television,
That's what I
that
was about to
person
go
was
to.
that person was always like super effeminate, super flamboyant. And I think that is what the picture and the vision that everyone had of gay people. And
Right.
I was none of those things because I wasn't allowed to be. All I knew was, like Hakeem had mentioned earlier, how he would, try to fit in with the boys. Like, remember that was the Soldier Boy era with the long, crazy white tee. Like,
Oh,
you
Jesus.
130 pounds wearing a shirt that's a 3X. Like, I did all that shit because I thought, that's how boys dressed. And I was just myself. And I think for a lot of people, it's like, okay, this is the gay dude. He plays basketball with us. He plays video games. He doesn't look at us in the locker room. He doesn't flirt with us. He doesn't make us uncomfortable. Oh shit. I didn't know gay people were like that. So I think for a lot of people, especially if you're a straight guy, it's all about the experience, the personal experiences that you have with gay people that really influence how you go moving forward. And with that particular person, because they knew him for so long and they had so many memories with him, and they were like, oh shit, like, no, you're my boy. Like just because we're not gonna be looking at chicks together. Like, look, we got 20 years of history. I can't throw that away because now you just started, living in your truth. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's like now people are seeing just how, again, multifaceted the gay community is. Like, we're all very different.
Not everyone's the same. It's just like, and that's one thing I had to learn through this whole thing, and just like growing up. Like again, like you said, you probably one of the first people that like changed like the perception of who a gay male was, and like there was a few others as well. And again, I saw a lot in high school, but it wasn't more until like I was like in college, and after that, I started learning more about them, more because I work with them. And just having more open conversation, just going out, you know what I mean? Like, I remember being on cruises and dudes try to hit on me, and I had to like tell them chill the fuck out. But at the same time, like, yo, you cool dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you getting out, I ain't trying to judge you, but bro, don't try to do that shit with me, you know what I'm saying? Like, but just like getting everyone's perspective and just being open minded about it, like just like who people are, and you can't judge everybody just based off like And one thing I'm starting to hate and is like everyone needs to identify everybody as something. And just like, we all humans, bro. At the end of the day, we all humans. Like, you could go to another country, you go down a block, you could go to another borough and someone's going to act different than you. Someone's going to be different than you. You could go to another state, someone's going to be different than you. You could go to another country, someone's going to be different than you. Regardless of, like, their sexual orientation, I feel like there's too much stipulations on like having an identity on certain things, even if it's not, you don't have to be sexual. It could just be like your race, like, oh, because you're black, this is like what I identify you as. If you're gay, this is what I identify you as. Like, you're just fucking a human, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? We have fucking 2 legs, 2 arms, some of us, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? We all have brains, we all, have this whole ecosystem, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? You just all
as progressive as a country as we are, that is one area that we are very reductive in, because this is why I love Europe so much. Y'all may agree or disagree on me with this. I believe, are y'all familiar with the term pansexual?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
a little bit.
I believe that
No,
everybody
wait.
is pansexual.
Oh, is that more like? So can you identify it? Can you give us a little definition of it?
So pansexual means you just like people.
Yeah, that's more on the
It
spectrum
does-
I was talking about earlier. Like,
Yeah.
I was talking about
I
girlfriend
think
about that stuff.
everybody is pansexual. And for some people, it comes down to, I just prefer to be with women only. And then you move into the heterosexual identity, because people get sexuality and identity mixed up. And we're in the process now of breaking that down. So your sexual identity or your sexual orientation is what you prefer in terms of love, sex, etc., intimacy. And so I just think everyone is pansexual, means everybody loves everybody. But when it comes down to intimacy, I prefer intimacy with just women. That's just my preference. Or I prefer intimacy with both sexes. Or I just prefer intimacy with anybody that I connect with on intimate, spiritual, social level, whatever. That's what I think about everybody, because society influences what you do and how you feel. Because if we didn't have our parents saying, boys are supposed to be with girls, girls are supposed to be with boys, you're only supposed to marry a boy, you're only supposed to marry a girl. If we didn't have those teachings growing up, people would just be free to gravitate towards whatever it is their heart desires without any outside influence. So, Carlton, the fact that a guy can flirt with you and you can be like, hey, I don't get down like that, but you a cool dude. Like, we could, still be cool, but nothing more than that. That proves it right there. Like, you and this person connected on a level, but not he wanted to go to a level that you, at that point, that's where your train stops.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No,
we was on a cruise, so I get it. You know, he trying to get some. I'm like, yo, bro, don't get some with me, bro. I can help you get some
He
niggas. You
say
know,
he
I could
trying
be
to
your
get
boy.
some.
No, yo, for real, like, yo, listen, he's a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Nah,
can tell.
I remember you telling me the story though.
Yeah, yeah, I told y'all the story, but I think this is a good time to share, right? So this is a dude, right? This dude, I was like, you know, this is when I was single. I was out with my family, and you know, when you go on cruises, it's like a 7-day cruise. When you go out on cruises, they have clubs and shit at nighttime. So I'll go out and drink. I'll go out and smoke my cigars and shit like that. And I'll meet a lot of people, and there'll be a group of people. You know what I'm saying? So like, you meet a lot of people, and he was one of the people that was part of the groups. You know what I'm saying? It was like cool people, blah blah blah. And then one day he just tried to grab my ass. I said, yo, bro, chill out. I said, yo, my mans. And I'm like, I didn't judge him. He was very flirtatious with everybody. I'm like, okay, that's the kind of person he is. That's cool. I'm not gonna judge him as long as he don't do that to me. He did it to me. All right, we gotta have this conversation. You know what I mean? But you know what? You put me onto some girls.
No.
You know what I'm saying? No.
That's not a friend.
Well, no, we on a cruise. We're on a cruise. We on a cruise. We were just
what I'm
like,
saying, but that's not somebody you want to associate with because that's a person that doesn't respect boundaries.
Which one? What do you mean? Oh, like
because he grabbed your ass. Like that's a violation.
Oh yeah,
you already
yeah.
that you're gonna be
it doesn't
into
matter.
Right?
Yeah, well, he was. Yeah,
you're
that's why.
violating a person's personal space and you're violating boundaries because you got to read the room. And I've known you for a long time, Carlton. You're a nice guy, but you don't give off that vibe.
Yeah,
you give off the vibe of I'm a nice dude. Yeah, let's fucking talk. Oh shit, you like Naruto too? What's good? But you never give off that vibe.
I love Naruto.
You know, we about to, you know,
we about to
you never give off that vibe. So that's somebody who
he was trying. Listen, he was trying to with everybody. I know that. You know what I'm saying? But also,
and that's even worse.
But listen, I'm sorry, I'm not. And this is where the dickhead comes into me. I was trying to get some pussy that on the cruise. So I'm like, this guy is cool with everybody. He could talk to everybody easily, and he was obviously like a good wingman for me. So I was just like, yo. I mean,
have you heard of speaking out? Hashtag speaking out.
What? No.
So last summer, that was like a big hashtag in the wrestling community.
Oh,
and
yeah,
a lot of predators were outed.
Oh.
So that's why I say, you made references to like, oh, it was just a cruise, it was 7 days, but I'm talking about life in general. You don't want to associate with people like that in general because to a lot of people, in their minds, you knew about it. You didn't say anything about it. You didn't do anything about it. So you were either enabling it or you were doing it too. So that's why I say like you don't want to associate with people like that because it's called reading the room. Just like if you approach a chick at a bar or something, you could tell if a chick is interested in you and she's trying to get the dick, or if she's like, yeah, I'm just trying to be nice. You know what I'm saying? And if you could tell like she's just trying to be nice, wouldn't you rather talk to a chick that's trying to give up the pussy versus a fucking wall that you have to knock down? Like come on, bitch. I'm not trying to buy you 10 drinks and spend $200 just to knock the wall down. If you'd be like, okay, now I'll give you some pussy. Or would you rather just meet someone like, hey, you look good, I look good, what's up? You trying to do something after the club?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Sound like the old Carlton.
Yeah, not that ass. And I mean, we was on the same page with that. Again, it was like he was gay, but I understood his mentality, where he was coming from in a way. I mean, I've been learning more about that, like people being aggressive and shit like that, and why that's like a no because people get in trouble for that shit nowadays, and you hearing people's stories as to why. And that's another conversation.
See,
for another
that
day.
Right there is what I call faggot shit.
Wow.
Because people have that perception of if you're gay and you find a guy that you're drawn to, you're like aggressively pursuing him. And I'm like, all of us are not like that. If we know that a person identifies as straight, that's you.
Yeah.
Yo, you like that chick over there? All right, that's my homegirl. So I'm gonna tell you real quick, You know, she just got out of a situation, so she a little vulnerable. So don't fuck her like you love her. You know, you just hit it from the back and say, "All right, here's my number. You know, call me later." Don't make no eye contact because she's gonna fall in love with you. You know, like some shit like that.
All right.
But that's what I was bringing up before. If people have this preconceived notion of what members of the LGBTQ plus community are, and it's like we're not. There are people that are like that. Don't get me wrong, but we're all not like that. So I think when people meet people that are outside of that, it's a shock. Like, oh shit! Not only are you cool as shit, but you're respecting my boundaries and me being a heterosexual. Let's fucking talk. What's up?
Yeah.
I got two things for Ikeem and Anthony. One's a
Sorry,
question
this is
and one
going
is
on
just
longer than expected. This is
a statement. Have you
crazy
guys
level.
ever? All right, you said read the room, right? Have you ever read the room? You're reading somebody, you analyzing them, and you're like, all right, he's a gay man. Have you ever been wrong? All the signs say yes, but they just happen to be a guy who's into women.
Keem, I'll let you go first.
I would say, yeah, of course, like sometimes you do get it wrong, but then I feel like the time that you do get it wrong, those individuals or those men who you read all the signs that all point to being gay, and then they say that they're just not comfortable. 9 times out of 10, they're not comfortable being who they are. So it's still a persona that they're putting up. It's still a wall that they're putting up, so they can, I guess, quote unquote, live normal for them, or in terms of like how they grew up or their mentality. But 9 times out of 10, they still would be gay. They just are not ready to accept that. But there are those 1% who are just very open, very free, but they're not gay at all. And then those are the ones that I guess a lot of people would be confused about. Well, they can't be read, in my opinion.
Actually, just had this experience yesterday. um, I'm a mutual friend with a celebrity chef on Instagram, and he's Mexican, and we were like, chatting via DM. And he was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm not gay, but we can still be, friends, of course." And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," but it wasn't because of anything he had put out. It was a website that he was featured on. So I had made an assumption, but I never crossed a boundary. Like I never said anything inappropriate. It was just, general conversation, and that's what came out. But I think like what Hakeem said is very true. There's a lot of people who aren't comfortable with, because everyone thinks you have to have a label. I
Right.
don't know if that's our country or if that's a society, but I think our society makes us feel like you have to have a label. And a
You have
lot
to
of
check a box.
people, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just feel like you have to check a box, like you were saying, with our society.
Exactly. Like you have to check a box. And I think you meet some people who understand like who I am, can't be put into a box. And I just love people. And then you have people that have that mindset because of how they were raised. I have to check a box. And at this point, I'm not ready to check a box. And I feel like if I go down a specific road, if I actually go all the way with, let's say, a guy, then that means I have to now identify with the box. And a lot of people aren't ready for that yet. That's why I don't want to be nobody's first. Like, I'm not your fucking experiment. No. Like, you figure that shit out on your own time.
It's understandable.
Some people like that. They're like, "Ooh, I'm the one who turned you out." I'm like, first of all, I don't have no time. I'm about to be 31. I don't have no fucking time to teach a grown man how to do shit.
Mm.
Some people like that. If that's your stilo, more power to you. I don't have the time nor patience for it to deal with somebody who is just coming to terms with their identity. I made the mistake of marrying somebody like that. Nope. I need
One
you to
thing.
come into this fully
Sorry.
seasoned.
One thing I can admit to. I don't know if Carlton, Myron, and Ikeem. Well, not Ikeem, but Carlton and Myron can agree to it. At our previous employer and where we were located at, and the village section of, the city, I felt like working there, that was probably, I guess the only time I can say I probably had like a negative outlook or a negative energy towards gay men. And it's because, like you said, they didn't read the room. So they were like very aggressive, similar to Carlton's situation. And,
That was like the
they
only
didn't care.
aggressive guy I met. I'm sorry. That was probably the only aggressive guy that came. That was the only time.
Oh, so
I never
I guess
really
I'm
experienced that.
speaking for myself then. Myron, you never experienced this?
No, not to be honest. No.
Oh God, maybe it's because I was working
So
the
that's
nightlife.
no. I
You
think.
were
Wait,
working the
you worked.
nightlife.
You worked an overnight shift.
Oh, he probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
You
so
found every.
that's part
You
of
got
it.
the ball crawls, bro. All that shit.
But that's
Even
part
during the
of it.
daytime, yeah. I experienced it a lot my 4.5 years. And like I said, that was the only time I can say for sure that like I had like negative views and perspectives and energy towards gay men. Because there was just, I mean, I'll share one story. One time a customer comes in, he's he asks for something. I redirect him to the aisle where it's at. Um it's a gay guy, he's with two other friends. So then the guy comes back and he asks where something was at, but I couldn't hear him. So I was like, can you repeat that? He was like, "Where's your broom closet?" I'm looking up at him like, "My broom closet?" I was like, "Why do you need to know where my broom closet is?" He was like, "So I can take you there and fuck you in it." So I've had a lot of those kind of experiences.
It's just like, damn. You know what's crazy? When you say this, I'm like, yo, I'm sure, like, women share a lot of stories like this, like getting hit on, because like this happens so often to them, and that's why they get so turned off when a guy just like approaches them so awkwardly like that.
True, and I
Feel bad
apologize
for
if I
women.
ever aggressively approached you and talked to you in a manner that you didn't feel comfortable in because,
Like I feel
me
bad for
repeating that
women.
story.
They gotta deal with that shit every day.
Say that again?
I said I feel bad for women because let's say you're a woman who's, naturally you stacked, big titties, fat ass, you're pretty. They gotta deal with that shit every day. Like
They
you
have
can't
no
even walk
choice.
to the store
Yeah, I
with a nigga
noticed
like,
that.
"Yo, ma, what's up?"
Niggas can't make eye contact with nobody because of it. Like they can't talk to nobody because of it. It's like they have to have their fucking head down and just look forward. I've been noticing, and I'm just like, yo, damn, I feel bad, and I'm like, yo, and that's why, like, obviously when we was in college and shit, like, we over here chasing women and stuff. I mean, I got my girl. I'm in, I live with her and shit. So, like, I'm chilling. And I stopped a while before that, but it was just like, you can see it. And I also have three sisters, so I see it from different sides. I remember going to the island, and I'm like with my sisters and my cousins, they all females, and I'm like have to be the fucking basically the bodyguard to fucking keep the hounds away. And I'm just like, damn, and like, my sister want me to be there just in case like this guy that wants to take her out on a date is a fucking creep, or like she feels unsafe and shit like that. I had to do that a few times, and I'm just like, damn, like, yo, this shit, damn, you know what I'm saying? Just like I just see it, just like, oh my god, like I feel bad. You kind of feel bad, like you just stop wanting to be, stop being thirsty. It's like it's a different way to go about shit. Like, damn.
But with Sprad's situation, I feel like there's two sides to it, and this is the one of the very few times I'll take the side of the community in this particular situation because, again, how I said, gays are very multifaceted. Are y'all familiar with the term trade?
No.
Trade?
Yes,
Yeah.
TRADE. I mean,
No.
Keem, I know you are. I'm talking to the
Yeah.
streets.
The streets, I like that.
No.
No, I never heard of that.
So, trade is what you call a gay guy who, for all intents and purposes, you would never think is gay.
I
He
never
can
heard
be
of that.
either like a street dude, he can just be super masculine. Literally, it's one of those things where you would never think that he was gay. So, I can't speak for the white community, but I know for the black gay community, everybody loves trade because everybody wants to be with the masculine guy. So, from our perspective, you know what the village is, you know what the village is about, and you're working here. So, that is, it sucks because we all want everybody to come together as one, but there's still going to be that little bit of, okay, well, you know, you're working in a gay neighborhood. So if you're not gay, why the fuck are you here?
Never looked at it at from that point.
So like that can be like our perspective. I don't now the other side of it is I don't agree with that approach because to me that's disgusting. And I'm pretty sure you never gave I know you never gave him any indication that that door figuratively was open for him to, just walk through it. So that's the shit I don't like. So again, I always say read the room. If a person doesn't flirt back with you or, their cheeks turn red when they start talking to you, don't go down that road. Or you put out little feelers so you
Mm-hmm.
know where you can go or if this is even a road that I can go down. But somebody just like that's a predator.
Mm. Don't be
The
laughing
way
at
you
my
broke
story,
that down,
man.
it seemed like that's a predator. There you
Oh.
go.
No, it is, and that bothers me because there's so many gay people that are like that. And I'm like, that bothers me so much because you make it difficult for, the people like me and Kimi, because we're not like that. But if people have that bad experience, they tend to carry that with them. And then
Mm.
it makes them harder to open up to other gay people because you're wondering, like, all right, how long is it going to be for this nigga to ask, like, can he suck my dick? Or can he see my dick? Or whatever.
Mm.
And that's the part that sucks. But yeah, you just gotta be mindful. Like in Philly, the area that I live like right outside of it, but it's called the Gayborhood. Um, and there's niggas that's been approached me. There's niggas that have approached me that have had fucking wives, bro. Like I told the niggas, like, yo, you got
Mm.
a ring on your finger. He's like, oh, this ain't got nothing to do with her. I was like, you have a nice day, sir. And these be like street niggas. So I'm like, and
I got a story
for a
about that
lot,
too. Once you
for a
finish,
lot of people, that's the allure. It's like a forbidden fruit, kind of.
would you
So like,
agree, Akeem?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, especially I feel like when you're younger though, this is like more the thing. Like when you're coming into terms, when you're coming into your sexuality, like that is definitely the
absolutely,
go-to person. And I definitely had encounters of cab drivers looking at me from the waist down and assuming I was the female, and then realizing, opening the door, being nice and courteous, and then as soon as I sit in the front seat, you get a different reaction. Or there are dudes who are married or about to have a kid trying to talk to you throughout the train. We're still trying to be like low key where not everyone knows or notices. But
Mm-hmm.
definitely like trade is definitely like the thing that you would want to go after when you were younger. At this point in your life, In the 30s, not really. You just want like a stable person who actually loves you for you and who's actually content of who they are. But yeah, that whole forbidden fruit thing is absolutely. And I
And
feel like
he's
reading the
so right. You're
you know,
so right.
and I feel like reading the room. I feel like a lot of gay men come to a point where it's either they're overly confident, where they feel like they can have anyone and they just don't care, or it's the fact of they don't love themselves. So they're trying to get all this attention, whether it's negatively or positively, but they don't love themselves enough to know like that's not cool. Like you're really crossing the line. You're doing too much. And then when we try to encounter heterosexual men, and then it becomes like, oh, I can't even talk to you. I can't even look in your direction because I don't know your intentions. So you don't even give us a shot to even be a friend because you're scared of what could happen from that one or two experiences that you had with people in our community.
Can I touch on one thing really quick? When you mentioned like the cab driver story, I had like two quick, really funny memories about that. Y'all remember Skonex?
Yes.
Oh,
Yo.
I remember there was a day we were on the computers. This was like I think ninth grade, and we was on Skonex. It was like a bunch of us. We was like in the back of the room. It was me, Sprad, Carlton, Ryan, Steven, and like Greg, Stefan. It was like a whole group of us, like just scrolling on Skonex. It was so weird, and it was like, damn, that ass is fat.
I think I remember
And I
this.
was like, that's mine. And niggas was like, oh,
Wait, I don't
nah,
remember
nah,
that part.
nah, nah. Pause,
Wait, wait
pause,
a minute.
pause, pause,
I just
pause.
remember being on
And
Sconex with everybody.
and when I was in grad school, my dad was locked up at Fort Dix. It's funny, he was locked up with fucking P.D. Pablo. That shit was so funny.
Well,
But when I used to go visit my father, he would be like, yo, you can't wear those jeans no more. Because so all my brothers get their height from my father. Like I have my father's 6'1", I have a brother who's 6'1", my other brother is 6'3". I'm 5'9", and I literally have my mother's entire shape. So I'm like built like my mother. My mother was like slim, tall, slim waist, and just boom, boom, pow from the back. And my father wouldn't let me wear certain things. And I never realized it until probably like a year ago that my father knew what I looked like. And because my father had been to jail before that. So he had just known the mindset of people. And a lot of people that we were around in the South Bronx had been to jail also. So it was just a lot of shit he would not let me wear. He wouldn't let me dress a particular way. Um, but it's just so crazy because with the whole trade thing, like my husband is literally reminds me so much of my father in so many ways. Like super masculine, super protective. You would never think he was gay under any circumstances. And of course, he can't keep his dick in his pants like my father. But at, as gay people, it's so weird because we don't have that guidance. The trade aspect of it gives us a sense of security. And I think we feel like we won't get that same security from a man who is more in touch with his feminine side or is not as masculine. So we associate that masculinity with safety and protection. And I knew that my father, no matter what, would always protect me. So I know for me, I looked for a guy that exhibited the same qualities per se as my dad. And I think that's a mistake a lot of us make. And a lot of gay guys that go after trade, they don't have their fathers in their lives. So we're trying to fill a void. So that trade is daddy in a sense. Literally, figuratively, sexually, in so many other ways. We're trying to fill a void by looking for a partner that can give us what we never had. So that's why these conversations go on way longer than you intend to, because you realize just how deep something seems so simple, but it's like, no, it's way deeper than that.
I'm learning that the more you guys talk. Ikeem, can you attest to that as far as like your selection of men, as far as they have similarities that remind you of your dad?
I wouldn't say that per se, but you're definitely looking for like security, like the masculine figure, especially when you don't have a father figure or your father doesn't understand you, so you're kind of by yourself, kind of thing. So you definitely look for like someone who you feel like would protect you if anything else fails. Even though you may not need protection, but you always want to feel like you're protected. You have someone who has your back and who's gonna definitely hold you down, type thing. So I can attest to that aspect.
To our valued audience members, it'll be an honor for us to get your feedback. And one way you could do that is by leaving us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, or wherever you go to listen to them. This not only helps us know what you guys think of the show, but it helps us get some visibility on those platforms. Also, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, Twitter pages. We also got TikTok, Facebook. That's where we'll be giving you guys any updates to keep you guys informed what's going on, and also gives us a chance to interact with you guys. So stay tuned to see what we're going to unlock next. Peace.
I have a question too. So, do y'all know who Lil Nas X is?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So, what is your opinion? What is your opinion on him?
I think he's breaking the barrier. I think
Okay.
he's needed in today's society. You know, I'm not too shocked by what was going on because, like, you know, I watch shows like Euphoria and like The Shot, and I just see where the world's going. So I'm like, you know, again, open to understanding what's going on. So I think it's needed, and he's doing a great job at you know, again, breaking the barrier. That's what I believe. I ain't gonna say I listen to his music like that. I'm not really a pop music guy anyway. So, like, he kind of falls on that category. But I do support him. I'll say that.
So, do you feel like it's a gay agenda?
What do you mean?
Because I've been hearing this. I've been hearing this a lot. Like all of a sudden, we was created. All of a sudden, we came in. All of a sudden, the gay like the new end. So now it's quote unquote more acceptable, kind of thing. Like, do you feel like? I guess because a lot of people feel how since there's a lot of more gay characters on TV, like it's being pushed in your face, kind of thing.
I mean, I think that's where everything. I think that's honestly where everything in the world. Because we had this conversation even about wrestling. You see a lot more black people being supported and being pushed, like after the pandemic, after you know the whole riots and everything. It's just you know I think it is, but at the same time, you got to think about the influence. Like, if you go to the top of the top, you already know it's a marketing scheme for the people up there. But you also got to think about the people who are, you know, actually being involved and who are actually getting this opportunity. I would say, like, if it was 20 years ago, there would still be more control over what, like, you would say, government, or you know, over like that 1% people talk about. But right now, I think it's a mixture of both, where it's like it wants to be pushed by people who are involved in that community, but it's also like, you know, you say the corporate world who's capitalizing on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I had that problem when it came to like WWE, and they did that shit a lot with like just with We're just like black wrestlers. Like you see Bobby Lashley all of a sudden get his belt for the first time, and we had this argument with Myron. He was like, "No, they was already gonna do that." I'm like, "Nigga, this is right after. Like they did a lot. They was doing a lot. They had a whole group that looked like rioters, and like it was just like they were just." It was just too much. Then you had the fucking Hurt Business to beat them up. It was just like it was just weird. It was just weird shit that you started seeing. But at the same time, like when you look down deep, like these people finally getting opportunities. And I've been learning, like again, like a show like Euphoria is pushing that agenda. Like even like the show like The Chi has been showing things like that, and just like even going back to like Modern Family, it's just being accepted, but it's also being pushed, but it's also being wanted to be pushed, you know, on both sides. It's weird. You always just like black people, like in any world, like trying to get an opportunity, like you gotta accept it because you know that they trying to check off a quota, but we also trying to get a good life. So we have to take those steps still. I mean, I could chime in too.
I mean, like with Bobby Lashley, like that. You know, me knowing the business, that's twofold. Number one, it was like, yeah, you know, he's black, but also number two, they put themselves in a situation where, believably, on Raw, they had no other quote unquote top people besides Drew.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So they had no other choice but to go with Lashley. And if they didn't go with Lashley, then it's like, so you're not going with him because he's black? Like, he's a former world champion. Why would you not give him that opportunity? So it was kind of like their backs were against the wall and they had, you know, no one else to go with.
That's what I'm saying. It's been like, it's a push on both sides. That's why it's like that gap is closing in a way. It's hard to explain, but like I'm glad you like put in that perspective. Like, it's like they have no other choice at this point. You know, like you checking off all the quotes. This dude is 40-something years old. He's been in the industry, did UFC, did everything that Brock Lesnar did. And you telling me like he was known like that and he wasn't. But it was also at the same time Bianca Belair was coming up. You had like the whole group with the Hurt Business, and I forgot who else was coming up at the same time. There was a bunch of groups, and it was just like a lot of, you know. But again,
so Sasha Banks had said, be so good that they can't deny you. And there's like, if they did not push Bianca Belair, it would have come back to, are y'all not pushing her because she's black? There's no one on the roster that can do what she can do.
And that's
so why are you not pushing that person?
And that's a fact. And that was the same thing with Bobby. Even if like there was other people, he had such a legendary name, his legendary career. It was like for him to get his first opportunity versus someone like a Drew McIntyre. You know what I mean? Like he got his first opportunity at that time. Goldberg had more opportunities coming as a part-timer than Bobby Lashley. Yeah. It's just certain things that was just happening. It was just like it wasn't making sense. And then at that point, it just everything again. It was a push. It was a push from like people who wanted it to happen versus you have to capitalize. Corporate, they have to capitalize. One, it's marketable, and two, they like you said, their backs is against the wall. If they don't take a stand and if they don't support it, then they're going to be seen as a certain way too. So they have to. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of both. One thing my pops told me, like during this whole thing, it was just like this is the greatest time to get some opportunities because like basically they have no choice but to do it. So like to go back to like what you were saying, Ikeem, is just like Lil Nas X is being pushed. He's that person that's being pushed, just like Cardi B is being pushed. There's always that artist being pushed, and it's for that agenda. But like, something tells me he has a big role in what's going on. Like, and he don't seem like he's being a puppet to anybody, you know. And that's a difference from what I saw before from like other artists from the past.
Yeah, because he's 19 and he, as someone, he's 20 now. So he didn't have to go through what like a Cardi B went through or like what we went through. He grew up in the age of social media. So he grew up where, you know, you could just, whatever, find gay people anywhere. When we were growing up, when we were in high school, what people don't realize, we couldn't turn on television and see us.
Yeah.
Nope. The only show that I think we had was Noah's Ark. And I had to sneak and watch that when my parents went to sleep. It was a gay show on Logo with all black people. There was a Latino on there, but it was gay colored people. And I was 16, and that was the first time in my life I had seen gay people on television that ran businesses, that were successful, that were, again, multifaceted. One was a professor, one owned his store, one was a successful writer. Like, they were so, but we never had that until like 2006. So just imagine every time we turn on television and we see a love scene, it's between a man and a woman. When we see a kissing scene, it's between a man and a woman. When we see romance in general, it's between a man and a woman. So just imagine what it's like watching that and say, that's not me. Like, I can't identify with that. So that's what it's like growing up for us, coming from that generation. We had nothing to look at. White people, they had queer as folk. They had the L word. We didn't have any of that.
I never thought about it like that.
It's representation matters. We had a whole conversation. It was a little different, but like
It really does.
representation does matter. So again, like it matters. So there's always going to be an agenda. Like, again, the corporate world, one thing I learned, and like, you know, like Ikeem, like, you saw how cool I was with everybody. Like, when we was with everything, I got into a lot of conversation. I even got into conversations with like district managers, store managers, and the regional vice president at the same time. And like, their mindset, they don't think about people. They don't think about people. They think about assets. They think about liabilities. That's just their mindset. So there's always going to be that side, you know. There's always going to be that side where it's like, if it's marketable, if they don't push it, then guess what? Then they're losing money because they're losing support, and that's just how it is. It's a politics with it, but at the same time, support it. And again, he has a lot of control, and I'm sure he understands the power that he has. So he's using it wisely. He's using it really wisely, regardless if people accept it or not. You know, again, he's just another person in this world that, you know, and there's others like him. And he should be able to be heard and be able to be accepted in the world just like everybody else. So I respect it.
Could you imagine being a gay artist and you have to do a music video and they're telling you your romantic lead is a woman? Like,
That's
what?
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't think about that. People think there's an agenda. And I'm like, there's no fucking agenda. It's just, we want art that is true to us. We want art that we can identify with. I can't identify, I mean, I can, because I'm, you know, whatever. But for someone who is strictly gay, they can't identify with a man kissing a woman. And if they do identify with that, then they fall into the, okay, there has to be a dominant and then there has to be a submissive role. That's a whole nother conversation. but that's what happens when you don't have accurate representation. And I think I love Lil Nas X so much because he's so fearless. And he's standing 10 toes down. Like, oh, you got a problem. I have naked man dancing in my video. But Cardi B just had, when she did her press video, it was like 20 naked bitches in the video.
Yo,
nobody had a problem with that.
Yo, Cardi B get away with a lot of shit, man. Cardi B get away with a lot of shit. I ain't gonna lie.
I don't think she gets away with it. I think because she owns it.
Yeah,
you can't say shit to somebody who owns it.
Exactly.
She said, I'm a hoe, I've been a hoe. You can say whatever the fuck you want about me. I eat pussy, I do this, I suck dick, whatever. When you own your shit, can't nobody use anything against you. So that's why, like, you try to say some shit about Cardi B, she'll be like, okay, bitch, and I still take your nigga. That's her favorite line, I still take your nigga. So
as far as Lil Nas X, the way my perspective is, I don't know all his songs, right? But I'm not gonna not listen to your song because you have because you're a guy and you like other men. That's fucking stupid. I'm listening to you because of your fucking talent, not because of who you're dating or what sex you're dating. Now, there's a large community of people that have a problem. I don't know the name of the video where he has naked men dancing in it. The way I look at it is, why the fuck are you watching it? It's as simple as that. Why are you watching it? You wouldn't have a comment to make. If you're so uncomfortable with it, why are you watching it? Because you know that's where he's headed. If it's like you said, he's a gay man. His house, the lead person in his video, going to be a straight woman, a heterosexual woman. Like that doesn't make sense. So it's very fucking obvious to assume that he's going to have a gay man or a group of gay men in his videos. Why are you watching it? It's just like as simple as that. That's just how I see it. And that's just like with causing like your favorite artist is Kanye. I don't pay attention to Kanye. I'm not a fan of him because of his rants. I'm a fan of him because of his music. So all that other shit, people choose to pay attention to it.
I mean, you
But
gotta
Sprad,
you
this
gotta
is
judge
where it
people off
goes
their character
deeper.
sometimes, though.
This is where it goes deeper, though, Sprad. Remember how we were talking about something may look like one thing on surface, but it goes way deeper than that. So, just like how you were saying, a lot of parents have no problem with their kids watching a man and a woman kiss on television. But if
Right.
it's two men kissing, you're like, oh, this shouldn't be on television. Well, first of all, you shouldn't be exposing your children to sexuality at all. Your
Yes.
children are children. Your children shouldn't be seeing adults kissing. Your children should not be seeing a love scene in a movie because they're children. So you don't have an issue with sexuality, you have an issue with sexual orientation. Because if it's women and a man, you're like, oh, whatever. But if it's two men, now you have a problem. So it's like, what's really the issue here? And then when people talk about it, then you start to realize just how, I hate to say it, how stupid you sound. Because children should not be seeing adult behaviors at all. Children should not be talking about, oh, I heard my parents last night, or I saw this movie and I saw this lady's titties, or I saw her coochie in a movie or something. That's not a conversation children should be having at all, regardless of the orientation. So that's why I say like it gets deeper and you got to pull back more layers because now you realize you may think it's okay because it's a man and a woman, but you're still exposing children to something that they should not be seeing as children. But it only becomes an issue when it's a same-sex situation. That's what bothers me.
Well said. It's the same shit.
5-year-olds shouldn't be like, show me a coochie in the sandbox. What?
I'm dead.
But they see that on TV, and especially men, they have this warped reality like, oh, this is my son, this is my boy. And I'm like, your son is still a child. Have the same energy that you would for your daughter, that you would for your son. Again, a whole nother topic for a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, see, we could get into a lot. We already on like 2:45. I ain't gonna lie. We got into
Nigga, you gonna have like
lot.
3 bonus episodes.
Yeah, baby.
Bro.
Yo, you got
the record.
Ikeem,
You guys
you
broke
got
the
some
record, bro.
content too, bro. Wait, we broke the record. I don't think we ever had a podcast like going this long, but it was like too good to stop. You know, it was too much.
Yeah. So how can we tie this together?
how
Because
can
we
you-
said we stated we all agree that there was a separation, and how this conversation, everybody like it if we want to break down the layers and really dig deep and go and like really invest in this. How can we not have a divide between the black community and the LGBT
Mm.
plus community
How can we
for us
not?
to
Mm.
really, for us to really,
Conversations like this.
Yeah, I really think conversations like
1,000%.
this. Um, it's just more interactions. Again, like this is. I think it all starts with just having an open mind. Um, and just like social interactions and having these conversations where we have to have these hard conversations. If people could be open minded, like, and just understand at one point you might get offended. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because like I traveled a lot, and as a black male, you know, when you go out to other countries, you meet a lot of white males who don't understand what a black person. They get so excited. So I had these like sort of conversations about the use terms of words and shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's just like you're gonna get offended because this you just gotta understand this ignorance. And when people use the word ignorant, you can't always take it offensively. It's like ignorance means you don't know, and there's a lot of people who just don't know, so they might come off offensive. They might grew up a certain way. Like, you can't blame somebody who grew up in the 1800s who hate black people because their fucking parents hated black people and their grandparents hated black people and they own black people and they don't fucking know any difference. Like, you got to give them that chance to grow, you know what I mean? And that's only if
But
they're
at
willing
some
to.
point, Carlton,
Only if
at
that's if
some
they're willing
point,
to.
you have to take accountability.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Just like how when the civil rights movement, there were white people fighting alongside us. Because even though that's how they were taught, they realized you shouldn't treat other human beings as less than.
1,000%. Yeah, and
So
then
that's what
that's
it
the
comes
next
down
part.
to,
Yeah,
self-accountability.
that's the
You
next
gotta
part.
understand, just because that's how you were brought up.
Doesn't mean that's how
At
it
one
is and that's
point,
acceptable.
yeah. And at what point do you take accountability as a person and say, even though this is the status quo, I don't feel like it's right.
Yeah, that's 1,000%. And that's why we have these conversations. That's honestly because again we experienced it. Yeah, again y'all know me, but like just having conversations with my girlfriend honestly inspired me to have this because like it's just breaking that barrier of ignorance, not knowing. Like again, before you came on, Anthony, I was telling this to Ikeem, we're just like I remember seeing a guy walking down the street and I like commented because he wore a dress and it wasn't like a negative connotation. It was just like, holy shit, this guy has a dress on. And my girl was like, why does it matter? And just like, I'm not used to seeing it. It's something that I'm not used to. You know what I mean? And then like you know, and we had these conversations, so it always had me like open to like just having conversations more. And more than that, just like being able to just like get people to understand. Look at all us having this conversation. You know how much just chatting we just end up doing, how much comparisons of our lives that we just had. Like, there's no difference. The only difference is your sexual preference. That doesn't change anything. I have a different preference than Sprad. Like, he might like a certain type of woman. I might like a certain type of woman. Like that. You know what I'm saying? We all have.
What kind of women spread? Like,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Papi Chulo over here. But in seriousness though, like, you know, everyone has their own preference and no one should be able to be judged by that. Everyone should be able to be them, and that's how people thrive in happiness. I'm also a firm believer in law of attraction, and you have to be happy in order for that power to rise. So everyone should be able to be them without being judged, and also be around people that support you. And if they don't understand and you do care about these people, then it might be time to have these conversations with everybody.
I have a great example for you, and it's not in regards to an LGBT thing. It's a black and white thing. So one of my best friends in the wrestling community, she is like so pro-black. You would think she was related to Dr. Umar. And so me personally, because before I moved to New York, I was raised in Florida. So from the beginning of my life, I was raised around white people, Indian people, Spanish people, black people, all that. So my whole life, I've just known a melting pot. She lives in North Carolina. So she was attracted to this white wrestler. And, you know, we have a little group chat. And she was like, y'all, I don't know how I feel like this man, but he's a fucking white. And I'm like, this is what I say about society. Society makes you feel like you have to stick to one thing. But we as human beings are way more complex than that. It's society that makes us choose a lane, choose a color, choose an orientation, choose a body size. And then when your human nature comes through, you realize I'm attracted to this person because they treat me nice, they make me feel good, and they give me what I need as a person. And then you sit back and you realize, well, shit, this motherfucker white.
Wow. Wow.
But that's what happens. And so many black women who date white men, they're like, oh, what the fuck? You gave up on brothers, you with the white man? And it's like, it has nothing to do with race. But this is the first person I've been with who's respected me, who's made me feel valued, who cherished me, who made me feel important. You know what I'm saying? It just so happens the nigga's white.
1000%. Can't really choose. I remember having that conversation with my oldest sister because she was like, this when I was like 18 going away to college. She was like, you better not bring home a white woman. I'm just like, and if I do, like, the fuck you gonna tell me I can't bring home a white woman? Like, you can't really, you connect with who you connect with. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of interracial in my family, and my father doesn't claim white women, but what's the right way to say it? Like, that's the first one he gonna pull off the bench, so to speak. So my father's starter is gonna be a woman of color. She either gonna be black or Latina or a Native American. But trust and believe,
when it's time to have fun.
That first call off the bench, the one your old faithful.
Yeah.
For my father, it's been a white woman. Ain't that some shit?
That is some shit. No, it was funny. I was just watching this show too on TV. What the fuck was it called? It was like F Boy Island or some shit like that. And I was watching with my girl. And then it just like these like, 3 women had to choose like these 3 guys like out of it was like 12 of them. 3 women choosing, or it was 24 guys. And like this white woman, she chose. Like, she gave all her bands to black guys. I'm like, yo, she definitely like black guys. But then she got serious with a white guy. And I'm like, of course she would. And then, like, the backup was the black guy. I was like, of course that is. Like, whenever she trying to, you know, when she settled down, she get the connection with the white dude, whatever, you know, bring home to the family. And then, like, when she trying to, you know, actually explore what she actually likes, is, you know, it's the little chocolate that she going for. I was just like, wow. Like, you know how many people are like that?
I'm a give you the real tea. She don't like black guys. She like black dick.
Yeah.
I was trying to be a little bit.
In the wrestling community, we're going through the debunking of fetishizing black people because it's rampant in the gay community. Like, I could be talking to a white guy and he'd be like, "Hey, do you have other black friends that can come fuck me with you?" And I'm like, "Whoa." So black people are fetishized. So, and when you come across a white woman in this particular instance, she will choose the white guy because that's what's socially acceptable for her.
Agree.
But that nigga is not that. Let me say, fucking Trevor don't do shit for her. But she called fucking Carlton. Fucking Carlton make her come 10 times.
You know what I'm saying?
But her family may not accept Carlton. You know what I'm saying? They'll accept Carl. That's what a lot of black men fall into. Socially, I can be with fucking Carl, but Carl doesn't satisfy me. Carl doesn't give me what I need. But Carl is what everyone accepts for me. You get into it.
Yep. That is true. That is true. All right. Well, we're gonna have to wrap this up. Yeah, Myron, do you have any questions before we wrap this up? I know you've been kind of on the quiet side. You sure? You don't got no comments?
No, honestly, I've just been taking it all in, bro. To be honest.
I'm glad. Last week we couldn't record because Myron had a gig, and I was like, yo, Myron, we can't do this without you. Like, I want everybody to be involved. This is something that we all should be involved in. Like, we should not be, So I'm like, yo, you got to push it back. So, but yeah, regardless, I'm glad you was a part of this. Y'all got any last words? Sprad, you got last words?
I got a last story, and then I'll close it. I'll let everyone talk, and then I'll end it with my story.
Okay, make sure you crack that.
Got you.
Yeah.
So I got a last question for y'all.
Yeah.
So do y'all feel like since y'all are more accepting now and you got a lot more knowledge, do you feel that gay people were born gay, or do you feel like it was a choice?
That's a good question. That I always switch, depending on who I'm having a conversation with, and if you're persuasive enough, I'm always gonna switch how I feel about that question. I think it's a choice. You
I
choose who
appreciate
you
the
love.
honesty for that, Sprad. I really do.
You choose who you love.
Yeah,
That's like when.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, like when I asked you, Ikeem, like, when did you notice? I said, if you notice, maybe it just came natural to you. You was just attracted to men. So I think it's a choice. I know people are like, yeah, it's a gay gene. I don't think that's true, but I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, I don't think there's a. Like, and this is another question, and this is one of the questions that I talked to my girl about too, because it's just like it's that nature versus nurture, right? Anthony just told us straight up, like, he wasn't attracted to male or had any of those feelings until what happened to him. That's something that influenced him. We won't know. Like, I don't know if we know. I think it's a mixture of both. Like, you could just have it in you. But then again, I'm still learning. I'm learning about, like you just said, pansexual, the spectrum, and how everyone is. It's like what you explore. You know what I mean? So, are you born with it? I don't know if you're born, because again, that's why we asking you guys, because there's a debate. I mean, obviously, if we were being ignorant, you could say yeah, or like you could just say no. You taught with it. And then he's going to another question that I wanted to ask, but then we so far in because, I wanted to ask something about parenting, like, having like, would it be different? What's the likelihood of a kid growing up, being gay if they had gay parents? You know what I'm saying? It's like what you see versus like how you feel. But it's a mixture of both. It's your environment. Like,
No, you gotta debunk that though, because look at us, like Keem and myself.
Yeah.
Our parents were straight. And look at us. So how can you say, oh, if you're gay, your kids are gonna be gay? My father is the fucking pussy monster. And I mean that in like I'm being so serious. And even my mom was a real bitch. Like, my mom was a city girl.
Okay.
But had the corporate job, if that makes sense. So, she was corporate by day, city girl by night. Get into it. But I was surrounded by two very heterosexual parents.
Understood.
So you can't say like, oh, because I'm gay, my kids are going to be gay. Look at all the gay people now. Our parents are straight. That makes no fucking sense.
That's true. You see, again, that's why I said, again, I didn't answer yes or no, because that's a perspective that I didn't see before. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to answer those questions. Because that's why I'm asking you guys, is just to figure it out. You can't really debunk everything. Like, like you said, it might be a straight male who have like feminine tendencies. I grew up around a bunch of women. I had 3 sisters. My mom raised me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could connect to a woman because like I had my mom. I was close to her even when I was closer to my dad growing up. So, you know what I mean? Like, he might not, like certain things, or I don't work out enough. You know what I mean? Certain little things I might not do. It's where I was.
Yo, look at Prince. This nigga would be on stage and platform shoes and a fresh roller set. And
Yeah,
he said, "You better have that pussy ready for me when I get off stage."
yeah, I fucks with Prince. I fucks with Prince. That nigga's probably
That's
the
what I'm saying.
most.
Like, look at Prince. Like, he's the best example of someone who defied what masculinity was, but was still 1,000% heterosexual.
Agree. Ryan put me on to him.
Yeah, Prince is different,
That
yo.
nigga Prince
Yeah,
was
Prince was
a
different.
That nigga, he's the
pussy
only nigga that could
savage.
wear what he wear with a fucking perm on. Look a girl in the face with makeup on and say, "I'm taking you down tonight," and the girl gets wet.
No,
Just
that
from that.
nigga's face would be beat.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, yo,
Like, he would have more makeup on than the girl and say, "I am gonna fucking destroy your
Yo,
life tonight."
I was watching
And
Purple
it's
Rain.
30 years later, bitch is like, "Yo, my God, Prince fucking licked my clit one time in 1983,
I'm
and
dead.
I never forgot it." Like, I'm telling you,
Like,
Come on,
yeah, I was watching Purple Rain taking notes, like that ass, like, yo, this nigga is smooth right now, like, oh my god, like we over here, you know, we over here just sleeping on this guy. This dude's a genius. This nigga, man, shit.
it was his confidence. Remember what I said before? Women love confidence. It doesn't matter who you are, how you get down. If you are confident in that shit, it radiates off you. And that's why women was lining up to get fucked by Prince, because that nigga has an air about him that even the most heterosexual nigga out here doesn't have, because he's trying to prove that he, back in the day, remember they used to say Mac Daddy and shit like that? But Prince wasn't trying to prove anything. He was like, "This is me. I'm the best writer out here. I'm the best songwriter. I'm the best fucking performer. And I can fuck your lights out." And women were like,
Yeah, see, I'm already about to
30,
switch my
40
answer, like
years
Sprad
later.
said. I'm like, I think you probably born with it, but I think society really do like kind of bash you down to make you try to think differently. But you are who you are, and inside always. So that's what I can say. Because like you made up some great points just now, just like, but that's what Sprad was saying. You're always gonna change the answer when you hear something else. You're still exploring and understanding what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you are who you are inside, you know, and you just blossom to be who you're supposed to be.
I think that phrase. That's why I think that phrase "born this way" is like it's a wrong phrase.
But yeah.
So you feel like that's the wrong phase?
Yeah, I think that's the wrong phrase. Because you, like Carl said, you are who you are, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. I definitely, for me, I feel like you're born this way. I definitely feel like some people have experiences where it may alter that, but I definitely feel like you're born this way because you are who you are. You know what you like, whether you know from 1 year old or you figure that out when you're 30. It's in you. It just takes time to figure that out. And then I debunk the whole scenario of it's a choice, because why would you choose to be gay knowing what the gay lifestyle is and what you can encounter, what you will deal with? Who would want to make that choice, especially being black?
Yeah, like, why would we choose to be disowned by our family? Who would choose that?
That's true.
Why would we choose to be hated by the black community, or not the black community for being gay, and by society for being black? Who wants that pressure? Like, who wants to live that life? Who wants
You
to,
right. We have a
like,
double whammy. We're black and we're gay.
I love this.
Who wants to be like the poster? Who wants to be the poster boy of, now we're being blamed because, quote unquote, HIV came from us?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And all of the scenarios that come with that.
Yeah.
So like when we come out, or when we're pushed out, because a lot of people are pushed out, they don't even get the choice to say, "Hey, I am gay." They're forced out, or they're exposed, whatever that looks like, to come to terms with that aspect.
That's why I say if you go to Europe, you will notice a lot of people in Europe are fluid. They're sexually fluid. And that's why I say I feel like society imposes upon us that we have to choose a label. I guarantee
America
you,
is fucking ignorant. Period.
yeah, I guarantee you, and y'all don't have to answer this because I feel like this is gonna make a lot of people uncomfortable. But I feel like if people could go be with who they felt connected to, with no judgment, with no preconceived notions, with no labels, we would see a lot of intermingling of same-sex relationships, opposite-sex relationships.
Agree.
I feel like a lot of people would do that. But because society, especially black society, because if you're gay, then you're not a real man. And as a man, we have egos, especially as black men, we have egos. And a lot of us aren't ready to face that. So we just go with what we know. This is something else that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. If, let's say, you're a straight man and you watching straight porn, you nut to straight porn, don't you? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw this on the Tiger King.
Okay. So you are literally reaching a point of orgasm watching another man's penis fuck a woman. That right there tells you all you need to know. If you were as quote unquote heterosexual as you think you were, the sight of another man's penis, you will be like, ugh. But he starts fucking her harder. You're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. So that right there tells you, because it's nature. Your nature is people. And you see a man and a woman having sex and you're turned on and you fucking nut all over the place. That has nothing to do with the sex organs. It has to do with the fact that you see two people enjoying each other sexually. And I think that's a conversation a lot of people aren't ready for because you're like, whoa, 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 what you trying to say? And it's like, no, we're not trying to say anything about you and your orientation. We're just saying as human beings by our nature, we don't have labels. Society tries to reel in our nature and put it in a box that you have to check off. And that's where the problem starts to come in. But our nature, we don't think like that. Otherwise, our body wouldn't respond to it. If you're not attracted to a certain type of porn, your dick's going to go limp. It don't matter what you do, that shit not going to get up.
You know
what I'm
funny you
saying?
say. It's funny that you say that. So I don't even get into the porn thing because that could be interpreted in many ways. I think it's more like, for me, it's like you visualize being that dude fucking that bitch like that. You know what I'm saying? But like, you don't know. But one thing I would say is I remember being at a party, and some shorty was in the room, and it was like my boy's birthday party, and she was in the room, and she was basically giving like mad niggas head. And then like my boy tried to bring me in the room to like be the next one, and I just felt so uncomfortable because I'm like, what? It just felt weird. Like I'm not trying to put my dick out in front of all these niggas, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like how I'm like, there's only one woman in this room, and there's like 10 of y'all niggas. Like why am I?
You see why I say get into it?
Yeah, and I was just like, I just felt so uncomfortable. I didn't do it because I was just like, nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Just like all these niggas waiting for me to whip it out, and that's all I could see is just like, what the fuck? Like, I'm good, dude.
Yeah, like nigga, you surrounded by 6 dicks and one woman.
And they'll call him gay
really?
Because he didn't want to whip it up.
I'm like,
exactly. They're like, oh, you a pussy or whatever. Yep. But I'm like, That's a really good point, Carlton. Like, I'm surrounded by however many other men.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know these niggas. These
other
weren't even my
men
boys.
seeing-
It's like some random niggas that I just met. Like,
Like, I don't want other niggas seeing my
a dick, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, I don't care if I'm
my
getting
point.
head. Like, this shit is uncomfortable.
But that's my point. You don't feel comfortable with that because that's not who you are as a person. But you see other people like, yo, it's 5 niggas. Let's whip our dicks out. There's one chick here. Sir, why? Sir, we need to have a talk.
That shit's crazy. Yeah, nah, it's just like, yeah, I backed out. I didn't care. I went back in the room and they were just smoking. I ain't gonna. I was like, fuck that. I'm good. Nah, but yeah, nah, it's good. It's crazy that you bring that up though. You know, and again, I saw that on Tiger King because the dude, what's his name? The dude that went to jail, or the Tiger King, I guess you could just call him, right? He asked a dude. I think
Joe Exotic.
Yeah, Joe Exotic. He asked a dude, I guess it's like somebody who's like about to work there, and he asked him that. He's like, you basically. He asked him like, "Are you like, do you like straight porn? Like that means you come to a guy's dick?" And like that was basically him like opening up that conversation. And he actually got the guy. I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Wow, this nigga really did it." But I was just like, "Damn." I guess you make a nigga think. I you know, but I don't know. I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like but you bring up a point about that. But then at the same time, I'm like. But I wouldn't look at, gay porn. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't see 2 males doing it. I would like to see, and I like seeing lesbians, but also I like to see a girl get penetrated. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I would do. You know what I mean? So.
But I'm the same thing. I love squirting videos.
Wow.
Like, I love you say that. I love a quick squirt compilation. What? Woo! Nigga, Natalie Flowers? Look her up on Pornhub, bro. Like,
see, I don't know if you know what people like that. Sprad do. Sprad know the names. He got mad at me for not knowing Jada Fire at the age of 15, 16. Said,
how do you not know Jada? Wow, you fired, bro. Nigga, remember in Mr. What was his name? Mr. Heckathorn? Remember I had the porn on my PSP? If you was passing that shit around.
Yo,
I'm dead.
Oh shit!
My father caught me with that shit.
Yo,
he was like, "You got porn on your PSP?" I was like, "But it's a man and a woman. Why are you mad at me?" That was my defense.
He grounded you, took away your PSP, and you never saw it again.
No, he took my PSP away, but he gave it back. But I'm like, I'm watching straight porn. Why are you mad? This was after I was outed. So I'm like, why are you mad at me? I'm watching a man and a woman. Why are you mad? He was stuck. I was like, I'll take that PSP back. Thank you.
That's funny. Oh, man. All right. Just Brad, you said you had a story, right?
I'm gonna save my story, or we're gonna be here till Labor Day.
Nah, nigga, give us the story. You can't say some shit like
thing.
that, and if you're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna say it now."
We got 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
All right, 15 minutes. I'll make it quick.
Yeah.
This goes back to early in the conversation. I think it was Anthony speaking about like you can't always read a person, right? Or just that you don't know what gay looks like. You can't put a definition on it. So I'm out. This is a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I'm out. I'm out with 2 coworkers. We're celebrating one of the coworkers' birthday. Dating a coworker. So we leave this one place, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this club." So I'm like, "What club are we going to?" They was like, "Oh, it's a gay club." So I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, "Oh man, I do not really want to go to a gay club, even though I'm with the female in this group." So they're just like, "Come on," they're laughing about it because they know I would feel uncomfortable. And it was like, "Are you gonna go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go." She's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm like, can't say no because it was their birthday. We leave the place. Then what happened? Oh, we head to the whatever this gay club lounge is, right? Somewhere in the 40s downtown. So the guy in our group didn't have his ID, so he couldn't get in. Call me ignorant, call me whatever you want to call me. In the back of my head, I'm like, yes. I'm like, yes. Well, can't go in because he doesn't have his ID. So we leave, and I'm like, okay, I have to use the bathroom. So they was just like, go inside the club, and I'm like, no, I think I see a 7-Eleven or uh Dunkin' Donuts down the street.
I
I'll go
already know
there.
where this is going. Oof.
So I'm like, no. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go there. They're closed, right? So I'm looking around, and I was just like, they was like, just go inside the club. We'll wait outside here. So I'm like, where's the bathroom at? They was like, when you go in, it's downstairs. I was like, all right. So I go in. They check my ID. I walk in. Obviously, there's gay men there, but obviously, I'm pretty sure all the men are not gay. There's some females there, of course. Head downstairs, make my way to the bathroom, use the bathroom. I head back up. Now, when I head back up to head towards the entrance, crowd, I'm talking about maybe 20 minimum, 20 black guys come in. They look like they from same neighborhoods we're from. Gun Hill, Castle Hill, whatever. Come in, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Look like regular guys, Carlton, if it was me, you, and Myron going out, and you just would have never thought they're like 20, 30 deep coming there. I was like, oh shit. And you guys said, you just never know. And I was like in disbelief because I'm like, they look
And
like me.
Kimmy can attest. We wait for the niggas to come through.
Yeah, definitely
We
do.
wait for the niggas to come through. We're like, where the niggas at? Where the real niggas at?
So I guess those were the real niggas you guys be referring to.
I'm weak.
So that would be the trade.
Fresh as fuck, fly, sneakers, everything.
No, Kimmy's right. That Rodney, that would be trade.
I get it.
So that right there,
okay.
that's trade.
You want the regular niggas that you don't know, but basically you're saying.
Yeah.
But as we said earlier in the conversation, it goes deeper than that. There's a reason why we seek those men out. And then just like Keem said, as you get older, you start to realize that's not what you want because these niggas aren't even open. So how is that going to work? I'm someone who's open with my sexuality and I'm with somebody who's not.
Oh, they're not open. Okay, I thought they were.
No, because a lot of them aren't because they go to the club. The only time your picture is going to be taken in the club is if you go in front of the banner.
So basically, a trade is somebody you just basically want to hook up with real quick. No one to take.
No,
Basically.
no. A trade is a guy you would never think is gay.
Okay, that's just okay. I get it.
But when you go to the club, your picture's not taken unless you stand in front of the banner that's hanging in somewhere in the club.
Yeah.
And like, yo, let's get this flick. Let's get this flick. So pretty much like that's how it is. And don't get me wrong, some people in the gay community are into exposing people, but right now where the culture is, we're just like embracing everyone and their differences. So it's a lot more accepting. Like, hey, you're here. That's all that matters. But you realize outside of here, I can only deal with you behind closed doors. If that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Like trade
And on that note, we're gonna bring it to a close. I'm sorry. This was a great discussion. I didn't expect it to go on for this long. I can't even say that label this episode as a homosexual or heterosexual. I would just like to call this conversation just about life. You know, there's just many things you could have grabbed from this conversation beyond just sexuality. And I'm thankful for having Ikeem and Anthony on this episode with the three of us. It's Code 99, Three Guys, One Code.
You didn't crack
Check
it,
us out
man.
next.
You missing the crack. You gotta crack that. You gotta crack that hole so I could clink.
I'm dead.
I think Anthony Ikeem bust that shit wide open, bro. We cracked the code.
Literally.
Code. Check us next time.
Your boy Myron.
It's your boy Carl G.
It's your boy Sprad.
Yo, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram.
At Code 99 Podcast.
And thank you again for having our guest, Anthony White, aka
Thank you,
Theo
Ikeem.
Ivory, and Ikeem Holder. Also, make sure y'all follow him and listen to his podcast, Ikeem's Tea of the Day. Peace.
You know, man.